Okay, so for today I just want to show you how you're going to trace your image to get it onto your paper so you can start doing your portrait. So by now, hopefully you found your photo and you've posterized it on the computer and you've handed it in so I can print it for you. So we have it printed out, and as you can see, what's really nice is I can see all these different contours and all these different levels. So there's a couple ways that you can trace it, and the first way is probably the best way. Is what you're going to do is you're going to rub on the back of it so you can trace it. So for example, what we're going to do on your back of your paper, you just with your pencil, you're just going to do this on the back all over, really messy. And you're only doing it behind, like I just did it behind Frida Kahlo's head, right? I didn't need to do it all in this area. So I just did this all behind the paper. Okay? The next step is what you're going to do is, so I already did one, but let me just show you, is you're going to put it in your black book on top of your paper. And then you're going to, you can put tape down if you want, if you're worried about it, like, moving around. And then what you're going to do is you're going to trace every single line that you see. So let me show you one here. So I want to make sure that, all these areas, as much information as possible, I'm going to trace. Right, so I'm going to push hard. I'm going to trace all these places here. Now, some of them you can see right here. It's kind of jagged. I'm actually going to make these nice and smooth because we remember with neurographic art, the idea of everything being smoothed out is really, really important, right? So I'm going to use my artistic judgment to sort of go around and trace everything. But the idea is that I'm trying to trace every single block of color. Okay, because these are going to end up being my shapes and I'm going to end up coloring them. So you got to trace. Okay, so I've already done one here. And what happens is when I'm tracing it, why I put all the stuff in the back, is what happens is anything that I trace, the pencil on the back is going to get transformed to my paper. Okay, so another option is that we do have really thin light tables, and you could use a light table. I'm just not sure with a light table whether you're going to see all these subtle different colors and like these different posterized sort of shapes. Okay, but we're welcome to give it a shot. Okay, so what I ended up is I ended up then with my outline here in pencil. So my next stage, of course, is going to go with your black marker and outlining everything. So in your art kit, you should have a couple black markers, actually a few. So I gave you lots, but you should have a fine tip, a super fine tip. You should also have a couple of the variety of ones that gradually get thicker and thicker. So my suggestion is to start off with sort of a thinner one and then work up to thicker if you need to use a thicker one. So the first stage, of course, is to take your time and you're going to trace all of the lines that you did in pencil. Okay, so I've already sort of started mine so you can have an idea about what to do. Okay, so just take your time. This marker is not very good. Now, the next step is that we need to apply some of the neurographic principles to it. So one of those things, the most important thing, is sort of rounding out the edges. So what I mean by a piece of paper, rounding out the edges, is in our practice one, what we did is anytime, I really need a better marker, anytime that lines intersect, you need to round out the edges because we can't have any of those points. So which means, I'm going to do my best with this crappy marker. Right, is you're rounding out all of those edges. And it's up to you whether you want them to be sort of thick or thin. And because we're going to end up doing this digitally on the computer, and you're going to have a better marker than me, is that my suggestion is to make sure that you go over all of your lines to make sure that they're super nice and thick. Okay, so remember that we need to round out every corner. So this is the part that's going to take some time and be nice and relaxing. Okay, so I've already started this here, so I've sort of traced everything, and then I need to go, it's very tedious, every single intersection and round out those corners of my whole portrait. And while I'm at it, I'm going through some of my lines. Okay, so you're going to keep doing that over and over again to every single point to make sure that everything's nice and smooth and the lines are nice. Okay, so this I would put some tunes on, put a nice Netflix movie on, and just sort of get in your zone and keep working. So the whole entire piece is going to end up being outlined in black, and then you've rounded out the corners. And of course, when you're done, the last stage, my recommendation is to erase all of the pencil that you have here. Okay, and that will just end up being a clear image. All right, so this should be a really nice, relaxing part of the project. Okay, these are going to look cool. Okay, have fun.